great pleasure to introduce our first reader, Meera Dasgupta, the youngest National Youth Poet Laureate appointed in the history of the country. She is also the first U.S. Youth Poet Laureate to have been appointed from New York as well as the Northeastern region, and the first Asian American Youth Poet Laureate of the United States. Please welcome Meera Dasgupta.
Hi, everyone. So I'm going to read a few poems, and the first one is going to be something that I read recently at the One Poem Festival for the Academy of American Poets, and I feel like it really speaks to these times and to the protests that are happening. So, my poems as victims of gun violence. This is where my poems go to pen their eulogies. They bleed a black ink and find a casket that blends well with the ground. I do not know if my poems prefer gardenias or roses. The rapid firing of a gun leaves my poems bloated with sudden death, judgment, a narrative in which they don't have a name. America remembers the anniversary of my poem's memorial, lights a candle but forgets that my poems are not love poems. My poems are students tearing up the street in their new Air Jordans, or teachers holding the Big Apple in the palm of their hands, or janitors mopping the floor of the mess that other poems have left behind. My poems aren't bulletproof. My poems bury friends before they bury themselves. My poems sob when dissecting frogs in biology class, have gloves on so the blood can't streak their hands in transaction. My poems love their mamas, still kiss them on the forehead before going to bed. My poem shot a fizzy glass of white privilege before it shot them in the forehead. My poems pray to God sometimes. My poems reread horoscopes. My poems do not pretend to know the future, so they walk to the horizon and stay there. Shatter the sky until their bodies parch the light of their names. Dance in the shadows until they are but one, writhing black mass in the distance. Their death, eclipsing the sun where they stand. And that is my first poem. And after this, I also want to move on and just acknowledge the people who came before us. And this is a very quirky poem. The title is Yo Mama Jokes, and it's gonna go through many historical women figures within our country and this world. And I think it's important to recognize these people who have been trailblazers as well. Yo Mama Jokes. Yo Mama Parks manifested a black magic school bus from the backseat of the American dream. Yo Mama Earhart signed a contract with the clouds and stayed there. Yo Mama Guges beheaded the patriarchy before she died in its embrace. Yo Mama Cleopatra died naked in the Nile before she became a queen. Yo Mama Kahlo used culture as a coaster for her canvas. Yo Mama Hurston let God bleed a manifesto off of her 100 tongues. Yo Mama Sappho knew to cook her poems raw. Yo Mama Angelo roasted white privilege on a spit like a squealing pig. Yo Mama Truth exhaled a revolution in pursuit of her name. Yo Mama Curie discovered that women can be radioactive. Yo Mama Tubman embraced the railroad and the soil and the loud that were her limbs. Yo Mama Ride swallowed the stars and grew herself a galaxy. Yo Mama Mirabai twisted her hands in a prayer for a God she did not fully know. Yo Mama Yusufzai found her savior at the back of a bullet. Yo Mama Steinem scorched the earth until nature didn't need a mother but a woman. There is a joke somewhere in this poem, but I can't seem to find the laughter to accompany it. And that is that poem as well. And it's something that I wrote because I thought that we often make jokes about womanhood and just the experience overall when there's so many people who have been so inspirational within our histories and in the nation. So I thought that this poem would pay a homage to so many people who have inspired me. And for another poem that I want to leave you guys off with, it's something that is more meant to be on the page, but I feel like it explains so many people's experiences right now. And even though it's not like a burst of emotion or experience or hand movements, it is something that I feel is so important to so many people around the world and within our nation right now. So I'm just gonna end up with that. It's called Mama with an H at the end. It is a wonder to be a woman at the end of the world. She stooped on the porch, her face steeped in press, the world yawning a eulogy in her name. The crows came first, dressed in the eve of morning. They left their skins to hang on the boulevard, conjuring a sad song out of the wind. Divya was a big-mouthed, bird-like child. She always arrived with skinned knees and a fractured ego, bawling, "Mama, the neighborhood boys pushed me off the swing again." At the time, her mama was the kind of widower whose sole inheritance was the turf of her own body. All buxom and leather-thighed, the world whittled a woman out of her, so she built a storm cellar big enough to house her daughter. By God, she would create a home out of this hostel. But with the changing season, Divya sprung from weed to woman. She swallowed a country and grew herself a wildebeest until the dugout couldn't contain her much longer. "Mama, I'm leaving." The words still paint a fresh wound upon Mama's flesh. The churchmongers, pundits, and well-wishing aunties who come to the crematorium to watch yet another brown girl burn. What a shame. Their eyes scatter her ashes across the subcontinent. Ask a white man to wash the blood off of their callous hands in his holy water. Whispered porch talk on a Tuesday burns Mama's ears. Reminds her that a man took her baby girl away from her. Made her bleed the way only a woman could before dying. "Mama, I'm flying. Yes, baby, I can barely see you in those clouds up there. Push me higher." The memory of broken bones and tire swings rustled the leaves in the backyard. They warned of boys turned men's and tired, burning brown bodies into sweet and sour nothings. In the kitchen, Mama stirs a rusted pot with her aching love handles. She doesn't know whether she can be called a mama anymore with her only daughter laid to rest in an unmarked grave. A proper goodbye costs money in America. But as the water in the kettle boils over, and May's forgiveness thaws the frozen tilapia in the basin, Mama swears up and down, "My baby is still here. Oh God, my baby is still alive." And though the world looks at her a mad woman, gone crazy in the brain from losing her only child, Mama smiles from the steam rising off of the stovetop. How the mist grazes her face in apology. How Divya's laughter can be heard from the smoke rising overhead, filling the atmosphere with her name. How the heavens call to her. And that's the end, because I know that a lot of people have been coming forth with their stories, and I feel like it's important to uplift their voices as well during this time and in this virtual space. So thank you all for having me, and I can't wait to hear what everyone else has in store.